and welcome to Sullivan's Farm. The week started kind of wet. There was a few rain shoots, or one rain shoot to sort out, even in the rain, and the days weren't fit for much else. Only cutting a bit of timber, so I did a bit of that as well. And then as the week wore on, the weather kind of changed a bit, and it's cold, but it stopped raining and the sun has come out. So I was kind of looking to the future and trying to figure out if mixing my own rations is actually worthwhile or not. So here we go. A philosophical question for you, of all things. Why do you only notice, or why is it only obvious that the rain shoots are stuffed with leaves when it's raining? There's one for you now. So obviously we have to sort out a rain chute here now. I got the ladder, shoved it in the boot of the car and brought it up. So I could notice that it's not too bad now. I noticed that the other evening when it was lashing rain, and thankfully I didn't have the ladder with me then, because if I had the ladder here then, I'd probably gone up in the lashing rain. We'll do it now instead when it's only kind of misty rain. It's fairly obvious so that the problem isn't up there in the middle, it's up here at the end, and we get the downpipe sorted for that and start harvesting rainwater next winter. But for now, we'll just clean the leaves out of it so the water can flow. As that bit there is blocked, then it gets blocked, as you can see, the whole way up along as well. So you've I won't show you because it's kind of grey, but you have a nice view of the countryside from up at this height. When the day is wet like this, it's not really fit for much else, only cutting a bit of timber. So we'll get timber to hotten us twice, as the saying goes, or around here we do things kind of arseways. So it hottens us about 3 times, between cutting it when it falls outside and drawing it in, and then cutting it again inside, and then splitting the blocks, drawing them back to the house. But look, it's all free. It only takes up time and petrol. To finish on the timber, one implement, tool, whatever you want to call it, I couldn't recommend enough is this timber crock. I think that might be the name of the company who makes them as well. Here, we'll give them a little plug. Does it say it on the top there? Timber crock. I bought one a couple of years ago there now. You can't kind of see the lights change now, but simple thing. I think they're about €300, and I would never again cut timber without them. They're obviously making the job much safer, but it also saves your back from bending over or kind of reaching or stretching or doing anything silly like that. So if you're in the market for one, lads, I'd recommend something like this. As well as being on YouTube, I'm also a farmer on Twitter as well, and there's a farmer discussion forum on boards.ie that I take part in as well. And it was on boards.ie, on the discussion there, I saw a man who goes by the name of Bass Reeves talking about mixing your own ration for cattle and mixing straights to make up your own ration. Now, I wasn't sure what straights were, but as far as I know, it's barely oats, maize and other things like that don't have that mixed in yet, hence they're straight. And then you mix them up yourselves and you make up your own ration. Anyway, Bass reckoned there was sometimes too much molasses and other buffer or filler material going into some of the off-the-shelf rations that you buy. I'm not getting into whether there are or there aren't, which was just part of the discussion. he reckoned you'd save a few quid and you'd know exactly what was going into the cattle if you went down the route of mixing your own. So the ration recommended for cattle anyway, for finishing them, was the high energy one, which would involve mixing maize and rolled barley, a little bit of soya and maybe a shake of minerals on top. Now, maize is a hard thing to get, I've since discovered, here in this part of the world around Waterford in the southeast. So I threw the question out on Twitter. A man contacted me, we had a bit of a chat, and he arrived in this morning and we unloaded these. I'm not into paid promotion or anything like that, or not yet anyway, nobody's offered to pay me. But this is the place where the maize was delivered from. Just to repeat it then, the mix I think is going to be rolled barley, maize, a little bit of soya to bring up the protein, and a fistful of minerals thrown on top as well, just to be sure. It's a bit of messing. It will take a little bit more time. So why am I doing it? Or why does my situation suggest that it's worthwhile? And I suppose ultimately, if you're watching this, maybe it would be fair that you'd ask yourselves, would it be a good fit for something for you to do if you're not doing it already? Why I'm trying it, I suppose, or why I think in my situation it might be worthwhile, is that I don't have a huge amount of buying power. I'm not buying 8 or 10 tonne or 20 tonne or anything like that of meal from anybody throughout the year. Maybe not far off it now, unfortunately, if I had to add it up. But I suppose I'm not buying a huge amount of finishing meal anyway. So I can phone up people and say merchants or co-ops and say, look, what's the best you can do for me if I was to buy 10 tonne a meal off you? I just don't have that buying power. I'm buying small amounts. And I guess the second thing is that I'm working, or I'm using bins like that. I don't have a proper silo, one of the big vertical type ones that I'd like to get at some stage. I'm dealing with small numbers. I'm buying bits and pieces here and there because that's just all I need at the moment, and it's to manage cash flow as much as anything else. Probably the biggest factor of all for me is curiosity. And that's probably going to be my downfall in a lot of situations. I'm just interested to see an approach like that to mixing your own or whatever else it might be is a good fit for me and a good fit for the farm. And if it is, then I'll go with it, because that means I'm either saving time or I'm saving money. So, to the money of it anyway, maybe the most important part, or certainly a big part of it anyway, as well as the time involved. I bought a finishing nut recently there, now admittedly in the 25 kg bags, for the reasons outlined above. I don't need an awful lot of it, I can't buy it in bulk, and I'm not buying a huge amount of it, so I can't argue for a good deal. But that cost me, I think, it worked out at about €560 a tonne. And I suppose that was maybe the tripping point for me. I thought something has to give here. So that's when I kind of started looking around in the first place. So leave that aside at 560. It is what it is. I didn't question it. I'm in no position to question it or tell anybody what they should or they shouldn't charge. When I looked into mixing the rolled barley and the maize and the soy on top and the minerals, I'd be saving the bones of €100 a tonne. Whether it'll be worth it or not, or whether I end up getting completely fed up with it, I don't know, but I'm certainly going to give it a go anyway. And I guess then the bigger question is, I don't need an awful lot of it this year to finish the last cattle, the 16 cattle that are left there now. So why am I doing it at all? The real reason then, well, obviously it's to save a few quid this year as well as anything else. But I guess it's a bit of research. If I can crack the nut of getting used to mixing it myself and getting into a little routine and getting the hassle of it out of the way and the mixing of it out of the way, then it's something I can use for next year and for other years. And all of a sudden, maybe I'll start mixing my own for the Wainlands as well. And then you're getting into, quite a few quid being saved. I was just thinking there off camera, if I use 6 or 7 tonne of meal to finish cattle next year, that might be the bones of, say it's €500 saved. Like, that's an extra, well, we won't say margin on how many extra cattle. It might be 1 or it might be 2. We'll have to see what way the year goes. But that's worthwhile. And as I said, the bigger thing is that it would be a fit. It would be something not different to everybody else, but just something that's a good fit for the situation I'm in at the moment. So that's, I suppose, really why I'm doing it. That's it then for this video. If you have any ideas about clearing your own rain chutes, or cutting your own timber, or mixing your own ration, throw it into the comment section below. I'm trying to play what's in front of me here, dealing with small amounts of ration that I'm buying and small buying power, but I'm not committed to it. I want to try and figure it out myself. So any experiences you have or any ideas on it will certainly be taken on board. And that's it. Mind yourselves. We'll talk to you soon. Good luck.